To all who listen to this happy pod, welcome. My name is Noah Parker, and this is my world of wonder. Today, we're back with Mom, which can mean, like we can predict with Marcy, that we must be talking about the parks today.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we are talking specifically about being in the parks. Not so much, I mean, me and Caleb, and I think me and Adriana have done a couple of episodes where we talk about, like, our memory from the parks, you know, because the last time we went to Disney World was like 2 years before we started the podcast almost. Mm-hmm. Whereas you get to go roughly once a month, if not more.
It's true.
Sometimes less.
That's true too.
So I guess it's more current events, I guess, is what we would call it. More like parks current events.
Sure.
Episodes. So today, so actually today,
January 29th.
Yeah, Monday, January 29th. And you guys are watching this actually, I think it is an entire month later. Let me double check dates here. This video will be coming out, or rather
23rd?
podcast. Yes, the
right?
23rd.
The day after my birthday.
So just shy of exactly 2 weeks, or a full month after recording. And the reason we're recording so early is because she will not be returning to the parks.
It's true.
Before going to Hawaii. For her birthday.
Yes. I'm so excited too.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to go. I hope you get to check out Alani while you're there.
I do too, because I was looking and it's only like 40 minutes from our hotel up to Alani. And I'm like, why aren't we going over there? Why aren't we going over there? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm hoping that we do get to do that. But
that'd be super cool.
And there may be just a quick little trip potentially this weekend, because as you may or may not know, it is a pass holder event, and that is the new annual pass holder magnet that they're getting ready to release. I think it released today, actually, January 29th. Nice. And guess what? Do you know what it is? It's Hey Hey from Moana.
Oh, okay. I was like, I know it's not Figment because that one was recent, so it ain't that.
Right, that's true. I don't have my magnets out. I should set my magnets out. I actually do have my... No,
I
that's
think you have one on the... Well, at least a sticker on the back of your laptop.
I do. This right here is very reminiscent of what the actual magnet looks like. It's just big. The magnet's bigger.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right on. So, yeah, you won't be here to record one next month, so we have to do it a little earlier, but we're also going to be broadening the spectrum quite a bit than usual for this particular episode because of that. But I think it's okay because one of the things I know you're really into with Disney right now, well, I mean, you've been into it for a long time, but kind of more specifically, it feels like since you're there and it's a little more convenient, is the EPCOT festivals.
Yeah.
And there are 4 of them every year. And actually, the original plan for this episode was to talk about Festival of the Arts, but we ended up combining it into last month's current events episode.
Yeah.
Because by the time this comes out, you guys won't be able to go enjoy it if you're anywhere near the parks because it will have ended 4 days earlier.
True.
So we wanted to kind of go broad spectrum a little bit more. But before we do that, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but in a little bit it's going to be a lot of you talking. So I'm kind of giving myself the bye on it. So
no worries. You're my child. Talking is not a problem.
Yeah, that's where I got it. I thank you, by the way. If I didn't like to talk so much, this podcast would be really hard to do. So before we jump fully into my questions from Mom, I guess it's kind of like an interview, I guess. I kind of wanted to go into like a history of the festivals at Epcot and why they even exist, because they are so popular. It's a huge deal every year, 4 times a year.
Yeah.
So the brief explanation that I got, and we have an article pulled up that we're going to refer to a little bit here as we go.
Yeah.
Or if I'm speaking anything and you want to interject, feel free. So the brief synopsis, I guess you could say, is the history of festivals started at Disney Springs, which, according to the article, I didn't know this, so this is new information for me. But according to the article that we're using today, it was actually called Walt Disney World Village when it first opened.
That's correct.
I thought it was Downtown Disney.
No, that was the second name. Yeah.
That's so weird. So this is the third incarnation of the Disney shopping district. So that's kind of cool to know.
Yeah.
But so in 1981, they held the Walt Disney World Wine Festival, which they did annually, it looks like, according to my information here.
Yes.
To celebrate local winemakers. And it didn't actually include food right away. And that's as far as I read.
Yeah.
But I think you could probably go on a little bit more in the article over here.
Yeah. Well, then what happened was they decided to give a flower and garden festival a shot at EPCOT itself. And that was in 1994. And, it just was really good. It did so much better than they anticipated that they ended up bringing the wine festival over, but including it with food. So that's where the International Food and Wine Festival originated. So that was that came over then in 1996 at EPCOT. And then from there, and it had stuff like cheddar cheese soup from Canada, pierogies from Poland, apple strudel from Germany, and those things to this day, which I am so excited. I can attest to the fact that in 2023, those things were still on the menus, but those were there when they started in 96 and they are still there now. So that's super cool. And it used to only be like maybe a 40-day festival, and then it ended up being so popular that they expanded the time. And so the last time I went, and I will pull up my Food and Wine Festival passport. We will talk about those more later, but it started July 27th and it went until November 18th. That was last year. And so from 38 days to, I don't know how many days that is, more than 45, I can tell you that. So it's definitely grown in popularity. From there, at Christmas, so they used to do the candlelight processional. That was something that Walt implemented at Disneyland, and they brought that to the Magic Kingdom. Well, then they decided to do the festival of holidays around the world. And that started in 96. Holidays around the world. And then the candlelight processional moved the candlelight processional in 94 over to EPCOT, and then they started with the holidays around the world. Now, Noah, when we lived here in 2011, you may or may not have remembered that we went around and they had the big like scroll looking things, and it talked about who the Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, Father Christmas, those sorts of figures were in each country, how that was represented and stuff. And so that's where that all came from. And now it is a huge, big deal. We're going to get to, I have a lot of different things on the table today. I expanded my screen, my frame, so that you could see all the things, because you do get a lot of different things. And then, of course, the newest festival, of course, is the Festival of the Arts, which we talked about last time.
Yes. And that's actually just started in 2017, so that's pretty recent.
Yeah, it's a baby festival.
It's like a month and a week, it looks like.
Yeah,
roughly.
and it is. It's the shortest festival that they have right now. Yeah, and it's only 7 years old. It's only been around for 7 years, so relatively speaking, that the others have been around since the 80s and mid 90s, so.
All of them outdate me, except for Festival of the Arts. Right on. So yeah, that's the general history of where the festivals came from, why they exist, and that's. I thought that was interesting, just because I mean, like I kind of vaguely hinted to, like, the festivals aren't that important to me. But that's because when I go to EPCOT, I got to get on the rides. I got to look at the aquarium, and it's like the food, drinking around the world stuff, which I guess is part of the food and wine festival. So like the actual festival itself, like I haven't really paid much attention to. But I know that especially since you moved down there, it's become a more important part of your trips to EPCOT. It's like almost the reason you go to EPCOT, if not the reason you go to EPCOT.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons we go. Of course, we do enjoy the rides and stuff. Believe it or don't, even in our early 50s, we do still enjoy the rides, and we do go to other parks besides EPCOT. It just doesn't seem like it because they have festivals every quarter pretty much, and so it's very easy to go to EPCOT and find something that we enjoy doing. And so, yeah.
Yeah, right on. So that's that. Now we're going to move on to more of the interview-ish styles, like a question, and then we're just going to talk.
Okay.
So basically I did the general who, what, when, where, and why, you know? So the first question is, why the festivals? What do you love about the festivals?
One of the things that I really like about it is that they are very cost effective. If you don't know anything about Disney food or meals per se, they get pricey. And so even if you go to a quick service restaurant, it's like $20 a person. By the time you get your burger, your fries, your Coke, it's like $20. And so what I like about the festivals is, first of all, you do get the passport book. I think we talked about that last time. So you get the passport book, briefly, and you can look through, and you can pretty much find, some of them have more options for the little stamps that you get. Some don't, but for the most part, you can almost create a whole meal out of it. And believe me, we did not plan properly when Dad and I went for our anniversary. It was in August, but we actually went the end of September, beginning of October, and we did Emil's fromage montage. This is the little cup you get at the end. It had some sort of cheesecake something in it. Fromage is French, I believe, for cheese. So all the dishes were cheese, right? So we went, and we already had reservations for Beer Garden, which of course is an all-you-can-eat buffet. Oop. And let me just say.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you go to EPCOT without a Beer Garden reservation.
I know, right? You know. I know. And so the problem was that we did not anticipate how filling the foods for the montage were going to be. And then by the time we got to Beer Garden, we were like, oh my gosh, we can't really eat, but we already made reservations. And so you can't cancel because they still charge you, so you might as well go in and do something. So, that was a big day. That to say that one of the things that I really like is that it is cost effective. Each item that you purchase from the passport selection is anywhere from $2.50, depending on which festival you're going to about $7 or $8, which is not bad. They're not. No, you're not,
especially not
exactly. You're not going to run into getting every single one that's $8, and so now remember you have to buy 5. So you're not going to have $40 that you've purchased, because they're priced accordingly, and so, but they're very filling. And so typically when we go, we don't stay as long as we did. So like we went the last time, and we also saw Luminous, the Symphony of Us, and we don't usually stay that long. I know that sounds really kind of counterproductive, but we don't usually stay for the nighttime show. And so that's one of the things that I like is the price of the food options and the fact that they're very filling. The other thing I like is that it's all different. And so you're going to get some sort of take-home souvenir. And I actually have some. This particular one, which I will post a picture because I'm sure you cannot see it from here, but there is a figment on the front and a figment head on the back, and it was filled with grape
Who's that? Whatever
slushy thing with freeze-dried Skittles. I'm telling you what, freeze-dried Skittles, I didn't think I would like that, but I did. So that was the Festival of the Arts. We didn't do a flower and garden one. So I will be doing a flower and garden one this year. So I'll have more to add to my collection. I already talked about the Meals Fromage Montage. This was, like I said, a cheesecake milkshake something. The cookie stroll. And this was something like a cold hot cocoa or frozen hot cocoa. I think it was frozen hot cocoa, which was super yummy. So you get these little kind of souvenir things. And of course, this was from this year's Festival of the Arts. And I just love all the little fun things that you get to collect and take home. This was from the Festival of the Arts this year, and it looks like a little teeny tiny soup can. It had tomato soup in it, and it's plastic. It's like, I don't know. I love all the cool little things. I always say if it's free, it's for me, and I'll take 3. And I think I have more than 3.
I love it.
And so
if we ever get to the point where we make merch, that'll be the first shirt we make.
Absolutely. I love it. And you know what? I have a Cricut. I can make it happen. So those are some of the things that I like. If you go before a particular time, and depending on what festival you're at, it's not as crowded because most of those things are happening not where the thrill rides are. So I like that. And before around 4 or 5 o'clock, there really aren't that many people there. Around 5:30, I think, is when the concerts start. So Festival of the Arts, this year they had some of the performers from the Disney on Broadway shows that they've done in the past and that are currently playing. They've had, I can't remember what the festival of the Flower and Garden Festival concerts are called, but they're called something. Same thing with the Food and Wine Festival concerts. I think it's called Eat to the Beat or something like that. And then of course the Festival of the Holidays is the candlelight processional and that whole telling of the birth of Jesus and all that. And they have all kinds of celebrities that come out for that. And so different ones that read the story each night, beginning, I think, right after Thanksgiving, maybe right before. I'm not sure. And so that's kind of that's very cool to me. But I don't like to have the big crowds necessarily. So we like to go to the festivals and experience all the food and experience some of the wine and whatever. They do have other beverages and stuff during that time. It's kind of, I feel like they're all like food and wine, but I mean, they all have food. They all have some sort of fermented adult beverage that you can purchase. And so I feel like that's kind of a good way to go and not have to worry about getting in too big of a crowd and still having fun, still experiencing something new. Again, the Festival of the Holidays is one of my favorites because I really enjoy seeing how the different countries celebrate Christmas. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, right on. One of the things I like about the festivals is just that I was never around to experience it, of course, but like Walt was so big on the World's Fairs. And that was basically the entire point of EPCOT, was to be a 365-day World's Fair that was always happening. And so that's one of the things I like about the festivals. I feel like it pushes that envelope just a little bit closer to what a World's Fair, what I imagine the World's Fairs were like, more or less. So that's really cool. I'm actually going to go out of sequence from what I wrote down here, just because I think it's better to wrap on the second item here. So the next question that I wanted to ask you was, which festival is your favorite? Because I know you have one. And it might be really close, like which one of us is your favorite kid.
That's what I was just going to say. Really that's like close. Asking me which is my favorite kid.
Of course it's me. but not by much, you know. So
so they all offer different things, okay? And I got to experience. So we've done, and by we I mean me and Grandma Jan and me and Dad and Grandma Jan have experienced the cookie stroll, which is like one of my favorite things. But that was the very first thing that we did, was the cookie stroll at the Festival of the Holidays. And I really like that. But this past December, we got to do the candlelight processional. And one of my favorite singers, Bart Millard, who is in the band Mercy Me, by divine appointment, he was placed the day that we were there. It was supposed to be someone that I don't know, someone from like a Marvel movie or something, that was supposed to be the narrator for the night. And that person had to drop out unexpectedly. And like, we're going, I think we went on a Saturday, and we found out on Thursday that Bart was going to be there. And I was like, oh my gosh. I said, we have to stay. We have to stay. And it was so moving. And I'm sure it probably is all the time. But like, for me, knowing that he is like-minded with me and he's reading that story, that was just so moving and so touching. And watching him as they're singing the songs, like he's just there and reading the story out of the Bible. And then he steps back and they sing songs and stuff. And he's like looking around and he's like he's so excited. And oh my gosh, that was amazing. Okay. So there's that. Go ahead.
I can see why that would stand high.
Yeah.
In your preferences.
Absolutely. So then we moved back to the Food and Wine Festival. And the Food and Wine Festival had one of my youth memories, core memory triggered right there. They had Air Supply the day that we happened to go. And we don't really plan these things necessarily. We just like, hey, you want to go to Disney? And then we go. And they had Air Supply playing. So they have bands every night of the festivals. And for specifically for the Food and Wine Festival. And it was, oh my gosh, just hearing those songs, seeing the guys. I mean, they were probably in their close to early 30s when I watched them in high school, and seeing them, seeing them now. And like, I'm not going to lie, I'm 54 next month. And knowing they're that much older, I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're still around and they can still do it. They can still sing. And that was pretty impressive. I really liked that a lot. The Flower and Garden Festival, why is it one of my favorites? I think one of the things I like is the merch at the Flower and Garden Festival. Okay. I don't buy a lot of merch.
They have some pretty cool
stuff.
They
do. They have a lot of stuff. But I don't buy a lot of the merch. I just love it. It's like so creative. They have all the topiaries and stuff. You can get miniature topiaries and that. They have
that's what I'm hoping for.
Right? And nothing really is better than getting to go into a butterfly pavilion. If you've never been, it's just an amazing thing.
Oh yeah.
Right?
That's so cool.
And then the Festival of the Arts, of course, is one of my favorites because I love to see people's creativity. I don't care what it is. I'm just so impressed with it. Whether it's written, it's musical, it's chalk drawing, it's metal sculptures, it's food creativity. I love all that. But for the most part, with the exception, I think, of Festival of the Holidays, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. The reason these guys, Food and Wine, Flower and Garden, and Festival of the Arts, are my favorites is because Figment is the main character of all of them. And when I went to EPCOT, way back in 1985, I got an acrylic Figment keychain that I cannot find. I did have for a long time, and he's always been my favorite.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's one of those things where it's like, I mean, obviously Figment's gonna be the mascot. He's like, Figment's probably the only character I think in Epcot right now that is like original design. He was made for Epcot, so it totally makes sense for him to be the Epcot mascot.
Yeah, totally.
And the fact that you love him so much just makes it
That's
better.
right.
Yeah. Right on. Well, the next thing we wanted to do, I forgot to put a what on here. And that was the next thing I wanted to do is I have basically a who is obviously Epcot Disney people. Why? I already asked you that. We got when coming up next, but I didn't. But like what? Like what do the festivals entail? But I kind of feel like you just covered that a little bit.
Yeah.
Mostly food and drinks. They do have drinks for the Niños. I do know.
They have, like they have non-alcoholic and stuff. They have all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. So we already talked about Festival of the Arts, so we won't go over that again. Mm-hmm. The Flower and Garden has so many ways of, like, just giving back to recycle things and making your garden better, legit ways that they help improve the look of a garden, or the things that you can do to, for example, make your hibiscus bloom more frequently or whatever. And they're genuinely helping with things like that. Now, you might think, why would you go to that? It's kind of almost like a home and garden show that you might go to in your local town or whatever, but massive. And Disney. Yeah, and Disney. So some of the foods at the Flower and Garden Festival, most of the foods are plant-based foods, which and it really makes total sense. It's flower and garden, so it's going to be like edible. It's going to be like edible flowers. It's going to be like Impossible meat, that Impossible brand meat, hummus, which is made out of chickpeas, fruit, street corn. They have all kinds of things like that. Chocolate cake, which is, I don't understand the whole chocolate cake because it's an Impossible chocolate cake, but I don't understand that. And avocado toast, all kinds of things like that. And so that one, again, it's Flower and Garden, but it still has food. And if we go through the book, I'm just going to go through, it'll tell you that there are beverages you can get. For example, at Refreshment Port, there's Mighty Swell Purple Magic Spiked Seltzer. That's an adult beverage. Frozen mojito. I know.
I sound like Dad. Right? I just heard Dad.
Yeah. Okay. Maple popcorn shake, which is a whiskey.
Oh, I was like, that sounds like for kids.
No,
whiskey.
No.
That sounds like for Noah.
They make a point of putting if it's non-alcoholic. If it doesn't say non-alcoholic, you can just bet that it's alcoholic. Then it's alcoholic. Yes. So they do have a maple popcorn shake. That is for the Niños. Yes. And then they have, I'm just going through some of these. Tropical Breeze, which is lemonade, grapefruit, and simple syrup. That one's a non-alcoholic. And then they have Florida Orange Groves Winery Tropical Perception White Sangria. Is it Flower and Garden yet? When is Flower and Garden? It's coming up, I think.
Coming up when you get back. When you get back, it'll well, I don't know when your trip is exactly, I guess, but I'm assuming around when you get back.
No, it starts after I get back. How about that? I'm not going to miss a thing.
Well,
I'm not going to miss a thing.
You'll have some time.
The Food and Wine Festival, of course, is oh goodness, it has all kinds of things that they talk about, like what you can pair the food with, as far as what particular wine or what particular beverage will go best with it. One of the things that I really found interesting with the Food and Wine Festival is the number of nationwide, like, microbreweries that they bring in. There were, believe it or don't, there were 2 booths that had, I think it's beer specifically, from Left Hand Brewery. in Longmont, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow. That's
home. That's home right there. Oh, here it is right
That's
here.
Awesome.
I will take a picture of this, but I'm showing you right now. Wait, I got to make sure I can see you so I can show you. Where is it at?
It's a little close. I'll take your word for it. I can't really see it. It's a bit blurry.
It's right here.
Well, I can't see where you're pointing though. Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Cool. I'm gonna have to go get me. Was that a sawtooth amber?
Sawtooth amber.
All right, I'll go get one.
And then it'll be like you were at Disney.
Feel like I'm in Epcot. Yeah.
Same thing with the same thing with the Festival of the Holidays. They have all kinds of yummy treats. They have I cannot pronounce any of the German beers, but they have a lot of German beers. They have hard apple ciders from Frankfurt. They have my favorite actual cookie is the Linzer cookie from Bavaria. And yeah,
Wonderful.
So
Wunderbar, as some might say.
Right? They just have so many really good options. It's a good way to sample a variety of things like food and drink and creativity and from all around the world. And I think that going back to what Walt's prime purpose was in some of this was bringing the world together. And gosh darn it, if these festivals don't do that, they really do. And it's super fun to go to because of that.
That's great. I just realized that I'm bouncing back now, but that's okay. It's my podcast and I'll do what I want. One of the things that I was going to say when we were talking about your favorite ones was I kind of talked about my favorite one a little bit.
Did you?
But I don't think so actually. But I mean, the two that I remember experiencing very distinctly are Flower and Garden Festival, because when we lived down there, I think we went twice while it was happening. And I loved seeing the HGTV booth and stuff, and we didn't get to see any of the guys or gals from HGTV shows that we grew up watching HGTV and Disney Channel, but if Dad was home, we were watching HGTV a lot of the time, so it was really cool to see a lot of those guys. Am I correct in remembering that Extreme Makeover Home Edition was on HGTV?
Yes, or they were on TLC.
I remember one day they were on TLC.
Was it TLC?
Or was it both? I don't remember. But I do remember one day, it was not a day we were going, but I remember Todd Pennington.
Ty Pennington, yes.
Ty Pennington. I was thinking of somebody else. No, I was thinking of the right person. It's the wrong name. Ty Pennington. I remember he was in the park, like doing something, but we didn't get to go see it. So that was cool. But anyway, I think Food and Wine Festival is my favorite one. Just because of and maybe I'm wrong because, like I said, I don't remember a lot of other festivals, but with the Food and Wine Festival, well, we went in September a lot, so that is the one that I feel like I've experienced the most in general. But they bring in so many additional countries to just the pavilions that they have, and I love seeing all the extra ones. And now I'm married to a Peruvian who is typically not represented at Epcot, but during Food and Wine Festival, there is a Peru booth.
There is. That's true.
And so I always thought that was super
That's
cool.
Yep.
So,
little known fact too, for homeschoolers out there, you know why we went every September? Because everybody went to school and you were homeschooled. And so we just waited until everybody went, and then we went, and there were very low wait times, and it was really nice.
Super
really
cool.
nice to be able to go there.
It was really easy to sit next to post 7.
Yes, it was.
Because nobody else
was there. But that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was what I liked about it a lot. And see, it's one of those things where, like, my wife's a teacher, so that's a bygone era for me.
Yeah.
Was going in September, unless I leave her home. Which I don't want to do.
No,
but
you don't want to leave her.
When you're making a podcast about Disney, it's, at some point you got to just But it's like,
and it's
I don't know. That's a whole different tangent.
Right. Thinking of her, I'm thinking of when we go to Hawaii. Aunt Lori's a teacher as well, and so I'm a twin. So we're gonna celebrate my birthday and my sister's birthday, my much older sister, and for her to even go, and we're going over President's Weekend as well. So she won't have school that Monday, but she's got to do 4 days worth of subplans and stuff, and it's just crazy.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think that pretty much covers the festivals, aside from telling you guys at home a couple of dates that you can definitely go experience one of the festivals, and then when we're projecting the other festivals will be, because they don't announce them until, I mean, I don't expect Food and Wine to be officially announced until after Flower and Garden actually starts.
Correct.
And I feel like that's the trend typically. Is it's somewhere in the middle of the current festival when they tell you exactly when the next one's starting.
Yeah. I do have some stuff to interject so go slow as you go through for the confirmed dates and projected dates.
Okay. Sounds good. So the first one that we have is a confirmed date. And that is the Flower and Garden Festival. That will begin on February 28th, which, according to our research, is a Friday. Which I believe is actually, for you guys watching this, it's next Friday.
Is it a Friday?
Which is, I think. Well, I mean, if our calculations were correct with all the other start dates being on a Friday, then it should be.
That's so weird, because I thought that it was the 20th.
I'll double check it.
I thought it was the 29th.
Well, I could be wrong.
I'm going to look on my calendar now.
Me too.
Of course, I can't.
What day is it?
The 28th, it says.
The 28th. Oh, that's definitely not a Friday.
No.
February 28th is indeed I lost it, Wednesday, which is weird.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's in the middle of the week. I was just kind of assuming they were starting on Fridays, but maybe not. Maybe not
they
all the
don't
time.
start on a Friday. Not that year.
Flower and Garden starts on Wednesday, the 28th.
Yeah. That's weird.
And yeah, so if you guys are watching this on February 16th, like I believe you will be. Is that what I said?
No,
before?
I think it's the 23rd.
Are we later? What? I'm so confused.
What is happening?
Our scheduling is
I don't know the dates.
At best. Okay, well, yeah. So this will be on the 23rd. So it is this coming Wednesday for you guys at home. That was a lot of digression for things that don't make a whole big difference, unless someone happens to be watching that happens to be getting ready to go.
That's right. Then it will definitely make more sense and be a need to know thing. Yes, I agree.
Yes, and that will run through May 27th. So if you are going to be in the parks between those dates, you can expect to enjoy the Food and Wine Festival. Go have something to eat at Peru. Have a drink in Germany. Have a left-hand brew if they've got them next year or this year. Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to say about Flower and Garden Festival before I jump down?
No, I wanted to tell you though. So the Flower and Garden Festival, as we saw, it's going to go through May 27th, right? But
Correct.
Look at let's go ahead and share the details of Food and Wine Festival.
Okay. So Food and Wine, as we are projecting, we believe it will be somewhere around July 25th through November 6th.
16th.
So, 16th.
So, let me tell you, did you notice?
Mm-hmm.
And on May 27th, and Food and Wine is projected to start on July 25th. That's like
so that
a
means
2 month
basically
difference.
a 2 full month span.
Let me tell you,
of no festival.
Last year, Flower and Garden started on March 1st and went through July 5th. And then Food and Wine Festival started July 27th. So, like, what is that? 3 weeks later? And
yeah,
and that is understandable because they have to get all the topiaries down and then they have to transform all the stuff and all that, right? So that makes sense, but not 2 months.
Yeah,
That's a
long
long
time to go.
time. And so there is speculation that there may be some other mini festival that is introduced this year.
I could see it, and I would expect it. I don't know what it would be.
I don't either.
But like with a 2-month gap, and the problem is that 2-month gap is in prime
vacation
days.
Lots of visitors. That's a high peak. That's a peak visitation date and stuff. So, oh my goodness.
I'd be surprised if they just didn't do anything.
I would be surprised if it's got to be something. And so I can't wait. And I'm hoping that I can be there and help introduce whatever this is going to be, because.
Yeah, that would be great. We'll make sure you get there. What would be ideal is if I could make myself get down there during that time period. But that's a bit of a rough time patch for my crew right now. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's interesting speculation. Now we can spend the next couple of weeks trying to figure out what we think they might do.
Yeah, I can't imagine what they would do. So it would be really interesting.
Yeah, we'll come up with some random stuff and see if anything sticks. Awesome. Then the third festival, potentially the fourth, if we're correct here, is the Festival of the Holidays, which is it International Festival of the Holidays? It's international technically before all of these.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, the international. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
So yeah, the International Festival of the Holidays. We are estimating to begin somewhere around November 29th, following Thanksgiving, as it did this year. We'll see how it goes. And of course, as we get the actual dates, we'll share those with you guys too. But we're just trying to give you a general heads up. And then, Festival of the Arts, which is the one that's ending before this podcast comes out.
Yeah.
This is less of a estimated date and more of a speculated date, because for all we know, in 2024 they could go a completely different direction.
2025.
Or 2025. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Wow. I'm living in the past. But we are expecting that one to start somewhere around January 10th and run through February 17th.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's helpful information for you guys. I hope someone listening right now is planning a Disney trip, because I'm not right now. So I have to live vicariously through people who are.
I saw a meme, and oh my goodness, it's totally me. It said, if you even suggest that maybe we could take a Disney trip, I will have the whole thing planned in 10 minutes, and you better be ready to go when it's planned, because I take that very seriously.
I think I sent that to you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's true.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So before we close out, I just wanted to share a couple of the places that I like to go myself. One, for being a Rocky Mountain Disney adult who doesn't get to visit the parks terribly often. So part of that living through other people is watching a lot of YouTube videos. And also they're really informative people that typically go the first day of events, such as festivals, and give you a breakdown of what you can expect while you're there, what kind of offerings they have, and all that good stuff. Those two channels are allears.net. I love them. I watch them mostly for when I really have a hankering to go to the parks, and I watch their videos to learn some of the history or whatever it may be, or just see the park on YouTube. So the Disney food blog definitely leans a little bit more towards the informative side of things, and they have very entertaining videos as well, like All Ears, just a little bit different format, and it's mainly trying to give tips and tricks for surviving the parks. Those are both YouTube channels, so if you are looking for quick videos to watch, All Ears has been putting out some pretty long ones, but they're also pretty entertaining ones. Allears.net on YouTube and Disney food blog on YouTube. They are also both blogs. Sorry.
I do like DFB, AJ and her crew. They do both parks. They may do the Paris and the Hong Kong and Shanghai ones. I'm not 100% sure, but they do both United States parks. And man, her crew is right there. If they have some sort of evacuation or something, one of her crew has been there and saw it and is posting about it. It's just so cool. And I mean, goals, but they are very informative. They are in the parks every day, and it gives you that really good sense of, which is what we don't even remotely aspire to do, but just be a little bit informative and tell you our experience. But they will help you get through everything. And we didn't start watching them. I don't think we started watching them until maybe right after we moved here. So about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. I've watched them. Well, I've watched All Ears for a while. Disney Food Blog was a little bit more recent. But yeah, they are both blogs, so you can also just go to disneyfoodblog.com or you can go to allears.net and get to their blogs. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Share some I don't know if that's really insider knowledge, but they are very helpful. And All Ears always covers the festivals. So the first day of the festival, they will be there. Which is my goal, to get there when one of the festivals opens, so I can try to run into them. I was actually there on mine and Adriana's honeymoon. We were there the day that I'm thinking it was Food and Wine started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that looks like it adds up. We were there the day Food and Wine started, and we were kind of trying, not really trying, to find the All Ears crew. But part of our problem was, and this is kind of a sad side of the story, but part of the problem was some of the people on there, like Breedlove and Quincy and Emma, and one of their former hosts was named Molly, and she actually ended up splitting from the company right before the Food and Wine Festival. We didn't know because the videos hadn't caught up to that point yet, and so we were kind of spending a lot of time looking for Breedlove and Quincy, and mostly Molly, because she was pretty easy to spot from a distance, and we never saw Molly. And so we found out like 2 weeks after we got back that she wasn't ever there because she had left the company to start her own venture.
Aww.
So that was kind of sad, but it was kind of annoying though, because we got out of the park and we never saw them all day, and we're like, how have we been in the same park as these people for an entire day and haven't seen them once?
I know.
But it also just speaks to how large EPCOT is. Like, there's that Boy Meets World episode where Corey's searching for Topanga.
And they're
trying to win her back. Yeah, and they're at EPCOT, and he can't find her for anything. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Very accurate. Very accurate. I think about the same thing with Full House. When they went to, they went to the Magic Kingdom. I think they were at EPCOT as well at some point in there, but they lost Michelle. And I just think they're like, we don't know where she is, and they go everywhere, and I'm like, you will never find somebody if you lose them there.
Right? If you do lose somebody, make sure in your training plan for your kids and your friends when you go to Disney that there is a meetup spot. If you get separated, have a place to meet
we had
up.
Those.
Or look for a
we
cast member.
Those,
looking for a cast member is key.
Yes.
We did. I couldn't tell you where they are now. I'm pretty sure it was mainly like, it was usually just close to the weenie of the park, as Walt called them. Like in Magic Kingdom, it was like go to the castle. Just be in front of the castle, and eventually we'll find each other.
Right. So Magic Kingdom, it was go to City Hall.
Oh, that's right, City Hall. Yeah.
I can't tell you. I can tell you Hollywood Studios, but it doesn't apply now. And it was go to the Sorcerer's Hat.
Right.
Epcot was go to Spaceship Earth. And I don't know about Animal Kingdom. It was just like, we'll see if we find you at the end.
It's a little bit easier to not lose people in
Animal Kingdom is not. Everybody thinks it's like so big, and it's not. It is, but it's not.
It's really not. Yeah. I mean, the actual land that the park takes up is bigger than any of the other parks, but the walkable portions of the park is, I think, the smallest. Next to maybe Disney Springs, if you count that. But.
Right. So, yeah.
But yeah. we'll get into that survival guide another time, but for
because
now,
I think we started to compose one back in 2015 when we went to Disney for Noah's graduation, high school graduation trip, and we had some things that we wish we would have done differently, and so can't wait to do that one.
Well, right on. Yeah, me too. So until next time, guys, you can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Noah Parker's World of Wonder. If you're listening to the podcast, you can find a video version on YouTube by going to youtube.com/Noah Parker_channel or searching Noah Parker_channel in the search bar. If you just type Noah Parker channel, you'll find like 12 guys that aren't me, so don't follow those ones. Make sure that you leave a rating wherever you're watching, and if you're listening, you leave the review. Share it with your friends, your family, your coworkers, the guy you're sitting next to on the monorail right now. I don't know.
I love it.
Because we are available on all major podcast platforms, so it's really easy to get a hold of us. And, of course, on the podcast platforms, you could just type Noah Parker's World of Wonder with all the spaces in that case, and that will take you to the podcast. You can also find a link tree in the description of this podcast on YouTube and the other podcasting platforms. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. We did use an article today from floridasmart.com. The article is titled "The History of Festivals at EPCOT," written by Courtney Terrell. Is that how you would pronounce that? Okay, me too.
Let's go with that.
We just wanted to make sure we give credit where credit is due. It was Mom had some of that knowledge already, but it was kind of just solidifying it. It was all new for me. So just wanted to give credit where credit is due there. And then, so as we stated previously, it is currently January 29th, and our bi-monthly meeting for future podcasts is, I believe it's on the 3rd. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. It's on February 3rd. So we haven't had that meeting yet, so I can't tell you what's coming up for the first podcast in February. March, sorry. But I assure you it will be something fun. It will be entertaining for at least me. And until then, guys, let the wonder take hold.